today we are honoured to have this interview with Architecture Malaysia and the CEO of PNB Merdeka Ventures, Yang Mulia Datuk Tengku Abdul Aziz Tengku Mahmud, and also the Executive Architect, Principal of RSP, Architect Farid Baharudin. And we are here to interview these two esteemed gentlemen about the project Merdeka 118 and the surrounding precinct. So today, interviewing on behalf of Architecture Malaysia is myself, Editor-in-Chief, Architect David Teo, and with me, Architect Edric Chu, Associate Editor of the magazine. So shall we begin?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So, first question for Tengku. Tell us what inspired PNB to eventually decide upon the current development master plan, which includes the iconic Merdeka 118. What is the story behind this development?
Perhaps just go back in time a bit. We have got this land for some time, and during those years we had really went through a process of what kind of development that we want to put up in this area. And the constraint is that out of 40 acres of land, half of it is really for heritage, which is Stadium Merdeka and Stadium Negara. So what's the balance is about 20 acres. So the challenge is for us, what can we do on the remaining piece of land, and how do we then do a project which respects the heritage part, at the same time have the potential for development for the future years. Yeah, and we could have started with a series of 50-story buildings, just like a typical area that you can see in KL. I think the board at that point in time, this is way back in 2010, decided next 100 story. So once you have that in mind, so that changes the parameter completely, because once you have 100 story in place, this is not yet 118 but 100 story. It makes the whole thing, the team, the people, the landscaping or whatever that needs to be done, need to be seen from that context of having an iconic landmark. So I think, so from then on, we start to look at how can this 100 story, simply by having 250 story put into one above the other. So it's effectively, the idea is that you have a smaller kind of area, because you one tower now instead of two separate towers, and start the concepts and all the detailed designers on based on that. Okay. So harnessing heritage, what we call what's already there, and putting into some economic impact from this tower. Yeah.
So in order to build such a high tower, one of the tallest in Malaysia and also the second tallest in the world, definitely you need to seek the government consent or also communication with the government also, right?
Yes, doing this 100 story is a landmark by itself. So we had to kind of get our board and also the government effectively to agree that this is what PNB would be doing, because it is mooted by us, not from the government. And of course we have got to go back to or go and seek permission from DBKL. Yeah, because they are the one who's going to vet through all our submissions and get their endorsement that this is good for the city. So once you have this kind of endorsement, then we have to actually get the green light. Yeah. So I think, but principally, I think those are the two big requirements first before we really go too far until into the design process. Yeah.
So how about Architect Farid? How did RSP get involved in this project? Basically, did you all initiate to joint venture with car vendors and all this?
Well, back in 2010, when we received notice, invitation to participate in this project, I think the selection of the architect and the design architect and the architect record was separate. Of course, the client, PNB, initiated first the design architect appointment, and then once they have appointed the design architect, then we were brought in. So it was more like a forced marriage, but a comfortable forced marriage, I would say. RSP has been working on some tall buildings in KL especially. Of course, the tallest building would be 50 stories building, you know. We did the NASA headquarters, and we did the, what's the other building? Oh my God, I'm blank at the moment. The Felda headquarters. So these are the two headquarters that we built. And of course, I guess because of our experience there, we were chosen. Of course, we had to submit all our documents in order for us to be selected, you know, during the process. During the process of selecting the architect of records for this project. Yeah. So our involvement in the beginning was we were not. We did not even know who the design architect was. So Carl Fender was, or FKA, was appointed first, and then later on, and we were blessed enough to be selected as the architect of records. Yeah.
I think Tengku would like to go back to what was the nature of the procurement process for the consultants.
I think at that time we were quite in a hurry because we don't actually started or did a competition. Unlike KLCC, they went through a competition phase, right? But in our case, we had to come up with a design within 6 months. That's our kind of time frame. So it was decided that we shortlisted international architects first, and the basis that they have done at least 60 or 70 or 100 stories somewhere. So we decided architects from various continents basically, and Carl was eventually chosen, and as Farid was saying just now, it's a forced marriage. Independently, we also looked into the local groups, and RSP came up on tops of the whole process. And of course, one day we told RSP to say, yeah, look, yeah, you have Carl here, work together. Yeah, I think basically it went through a very rigorous process because I think from our perspective, we want to create the only masterpiece basically in the world for this height. Yeah. So that's why the selection is rather rigorous, not just architects, but engineers as well. I think M&E, structural, and because we are putting a huge investment as well. Yeah. So
which is lead me to the another question: why is such a hurry, and within half a year that you need to decide, because it's going to be built such a big investment in the tallest tower in Malaysia?
Well, we perhaps it's not very much said in the past, but very much 2010 the country was about to go through, or rather going over a recession basically at that time. 2010. And one of the things that PNB decided was to come up with two projects. One which is the highways, and then the other one is this building, which has going to be a multiplier effect on the economy. So, and because those are a few billion each, right, the highways and the buildings. So for PNB is a way for us to kickstart the economy by pumping in these massive 2 mega projects, development projects, is as part of our contribution away to the national economy. Well before the MRT came in. MRT came much later, about a few years later. So, and because of that, we were really, it's more like our expenditure in a way, but it has got to be responsible, responsible expenditure. So that's why it has got to be measured in terms of feasibility, in terms of that it is doable. It's not something you just do it, you know. So that's why we spend, within that 6 months, we spend big time on assessing viability and so on, to say that, okay, the numbers work, and for us to for PNB to invest the money. Because as I said, there are two options. One is buildings, the other one is highways. Highways is easier because we have the numbers. But buildings, we are doing a super tall building. So we have to make sure that whatever that we put in, we can get our return. So we brought in, during the early stage, the QS architects. Even though it's very initial stage, the numbers are there to say it will work, rather than head along just because we have to do it. Yeah.
So how is working relationship with COP and I hope the four
the working relationship was, I must say, worked well, and it was very successful. Of course, both of us understood our roles. FKA, they knew that they are the design architect, so they started from concept, schematic, and design development. And so they would go through that process, and of course would share with us the design after it had been confirmed by the client. And when we came into the picture, we mostly advised them on the local bylaws. The requirement for the bylaws, as you know, that our bylaws, we are strict into UBBL, and of course, but being a super tall building, so we have to find alternatives how to meet that constructing a building of taller than the norm, and applying our local bylaws into the picture, especially when it comes to the BKL requirement, and of course bomba being very strict also. So these were the two concepts. So when they completed their process, let's say into the schematic, then they would pass through us, and we will of course go through the BIM process. And when they completed their design, everything was in BIM, and they had it, and they had all that information, and they shared with us together with all the consultants, the BIM knowledge, of course, the BIM drawings and everything. So we had to understand that. But we advised them on the, like I said, the local bylaws and so forth. And then we would go through the process from every step of the way right up to design development. And then from design development, then we would take on the role and do the submission, of course, our DO submission, building plan submission and so forth, and right up to construction. And we will, from their design, detailed drawings, then we would actually come up with all the construction drawings.
So they work up to the stage of DD only?
Yes.
Just the following construction and execution, did they actually came down and?
Yes. In fact, they had I think it was also a client's requirement and their requirement to have a representative, throughout the process, from the beginning all the way to the end, which helps us because along the way, as you know, there are changes that we need to make, and if we had to go and seek their consent, email all this design to their office in Australia, it would take some time. But when they had a gentleman here who was literally based here full-time to go through the process with the contractor, with the project manager, with the client, of course with the consultants, we went through the entire process to make sure that everything was done smoothly. And even he would also go through the inspection for quality, just to make sure that all the design has been met, in terms of their requirements and so on. So initially it was a learning curve for both parties, but it does help when you have a very understanding client like PNB, and of course we went through literally the whole process together with the project managers and the contractors when they were on board. So it was eye-opening for all of us.
I think the next question would be for the both of you. Maybe Tengku can answer, and then maybe Farid will answer after him. What would you deem to be the major challenges of this Merdeka 118 project? Throughout the entire, how many years?
It comes in various forms, I would say, in various stages. I think at the beginning is making sure that all the thing fits, because it is an integrated development. What we have is just a simple, I would say, basic requirement. We need a 100-story tower, you need residential, you need retail, and so on. Then how do you put all this together in one location? I think it's more of coming up with the concept right, through a master planning process and so on. I think that's the first part. As you move forward, then you get into the construction. With your design approval is a normal process, but as you get into the construction, then you have to ensure that you have the right contractor. That's again a selection process. make sure that they're able to do the job properly, and also to the specifications and so on. I think, and going back what we went through, how to ensure that they're able to do up all the requirements to the best of their ability, right timing, right cost. For example, we have got to achieve a 1 week what you call target for per floor. Yeah, 1 week cycle per floor during the structural. One week per floor. That's the target. Yeah, and one of the challenges there was to make sure that your column, which is a mega column by itself, would keep up, will be faster than the floor. If not, you can't. So at that time they have to think of how do you then do up all the formwork, and they end up doing steel formwork and so on. So it needs a bit of time trying to understand even how do you build it.
Yeah.
So I think we had the advantage of being a BIM incorporated into the whole process. So they have actually virtually built the building before it even started. I think that had modeling.
Building it twice, once
Virtually first, yeah. So and make sure that all the clash issues are resolved well early. So that's the construction part. Then of course, from the client side is how do you put all this together to make sure that the client, consultants, and us all are on the same page, you know. And as we move forward, COVID hit us. then again, put in some spanner in the works to say when can we restart again. And
during COVID time is
totally stopped essentially.
During that time?
We were already 80s.
Quite low, 18, 20 stories.
Oh, okay.
I think the M&E part, but the structurally we are already out there. It's already out there.
And then it stopped for
2 years.
2 years.
2 years we have to maintain the site security, cleanliness, and also make sure that by the time we can restart, it can easily be done, right? So and the other one is from our side is costs, to make sure that we are still within the cost that we plan for it. So we have our contingencies. We managed to work within the contingencies.
That's good,
Yes, you can. I think we are quite lucky because most of the contract were called well before this happened. Yeah, it's already in place, signed. So it is already done well before all this happened.
And the contractor didn't incur any changes during the COVID?
We don't change, because for example, the facade, 90% of the panels already in here.
Oh, it's already here?
It's already here during COVID. So you don't have issue of logistics, shipping of those things from China, because this was imported from China. Steel beams, by then we have already done all the major steel works. So again, that's not an issue because structurally we are already up.
So basically everything is ready, it's just to assemble after the COVID?
Assemble, but the building was not watertight.
Yes.
So you can't push the M&E system because the building is not watertight. So we were about level 20 or so, and then suddenly all this thing happened. So you cannot proceed that much further until you keep finishing the facade. So it's always that time to catch up.
That's good. At least.
Yeah, but yeah, we had planned for 5 years. So they become 7 years construction. Yeah.
The challenges? As you know, building anything below 50 stories is quite standard in terms of its construction and of course structurally. But anything above 70 stories is a different ballgame, you know. So the client in fact appointed 2 structural engineers from New York. One is Leslie Robertson from New York, and of course the other one was Thornton Tomasetti. You know, they are both from New York. Both of them were, well, Leslie Robertson was the engineer for the Twin Tower. So they have track records. Thornton Tomasetti, sorry. Oh yeah.
There is typing 101.
Oh, typing one. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
All right. So they had this, of course, structural knowledge, and so again, when it comes to design, and as you know, the building, the taller the building is, the slimmer the building is. The building tend to twist and turn. So all these forces that goes around, to and wind factor and so on. So so it was quite normal for the engineers to have their work peer reviewed. So Leslie Robertson had their work peer reviewed with Tom and Tomasetti, and of course we went through the whole process. At the same time, after that, we had to go through even doing the wind tunnel test, and the same thing. We had 2 wind tunnel tests. One is CCP from Australia, and the other one was RWDI, Rowan Williams. So both of them, had their work peer reviewed to make sure that when they did the wind tunnel test, any changes that they have to make, it was done immediately, and of course they would then consult with the structural engineer to make changes. And during this process, of course, the engineer introduced 2, apart from what Tengku has mentioned, you have your mega columns. We have 8 mega columns, the size of 5 meters by 4 meters, quite big, located along the edge of the perimeter of the building. But they have also introduced the belt trusses and outriggers. So these are the ones which actually tie the building together to make it more rigid. Especially the belt trusses that were in, the building having a belt. So they have these trusses at 6 different levels. We have single belt trusses and 3-story belt trusses located. Yes, correct. So that helped. That helped a lot. So I guess the major issue was to design the building, that can withstand. And we are lucky also, Malaysia. We are lucky that our wind is not very strong, not like Taipei, or like Hong Kong and all that. And we hardly have any earthquake. But the design, the building design. The building was designed with to take the structure, to take the earthquake on a 5.4 on the Richter scale.
Oh, you mean this building is actually
Can take, yes. 5.5, yes, on a Richter scale.
It's designed to take 5.5, but wind is higher.
Yeah.
Than the
But because
it's good to say we have done to 5.5.
Yeah. So, but because we don't have strong wind, like I said, Hong Kong and Taipei, so we're quite safe. So I guess that was one of the biggest challenge, is to make sure that the building can stand, and all these forces, which is imposed on the facade and on structure and all that.
I think maybe I just add on to what I just said about engineers and all this review and so on. I think when you come to 70 floors and above, what we know so far is that engineers have their own way of designing things based on architect's design. Right? Mm-hmm. You put 2 engineers together, they will possibly they will come up with 2 different structural forms to construct the building, because they have their own way of assessing the loads and so on. So I think that is where I think the importance of having a peer reviewer early, so that whatever design that is been proposed by the engineer based on architect's design, there's an engineer to review, and they would at least counter-check each other first before we can go ahead and do it. I think it's very important, which is not normally done. Because I think the height, we don't need to review probably it is low rise and so on. But high rise, super tall is almost like a must, even though so it's not mandatory, but it gives you comfort that this is being checked by a third party, a second, who is equally, the expertise is there, they are independent, and they can argue forever to say that whether or not this is okay to go ahead. So we need to pass through that stage. Second one is that the Chaiga wind load, because we have these dampers in Taipei 101, and the one on the top.
The ball.
And the first report that we received was we don't need a damper. Because, and of course the main issue was the wind loads are lesser, much lesser.
So basically the soil here compared to Taipei one is lesser.
Lesser.
There's this, the way the facade is being designed was meant to mitigate
The
the
wind.
wind, right? So this is some sort of like an innovation in architecture and structural design. Can you tell us more about innovation?
If you look at a building which is square, say for example, of course the wind would go around, comfortably around, and then once you have these forces that goes around, without any blockage, of course, then the building will react certain way. But once you have this, if you look at the building 118, it's different angle, different height. You have all this faceted glass and so on. The shape of it changed. So when the wind goes around in a certain level, then it gets blocked by the angle of the building. So then you have to change the direction.
You don't have the constant.
Correct.
No constant force.
Correct. Yeah. So that's help.
Actually reduce down
Yeah.
the wind.
So when the building is quite straightforward, especially a tall building, and they want to make it as slim as possible, because of cost and everything. So then the wind would have to, by this building, in fact, makes the wind more confused.
Yes.
So then they have to change direction and change. So that helps a lot.
Disturb the constant wind flow.
Correct. Yes.
That
Yeah.
actually can swirl the building even more.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the other major challenges that we face is bomber. As you know, our building bylaws, when there's a fire in any floor of the building, all the lifts has been home down to ground level.
Yes.
But ours does not do that. So we've engaged a fire engineer from America, and they would help us assist in how do we overcome, evacuation, especially in tall buildings. And this report came right after the collapse of the Twin Tower. So how do you evacuate people, especially at tall buildings? So they have done a report, they've done a study. So rather than just evacuating using staircase, we are also evacuating using lift. So that is we call it OEO,
Evacuation.
Operation evacuation.
The O is the O.
Yeah, OEO. Where is that? Occupant evacuation operation. Occupant evacuation operation. So basically, this is, of course, you have to be followed by the bylaws given by the study done. So say, for example, you have 3 floors. Well, you're covering 3 floors first. If the fire happens at level 85, say, for example, so you evacuate 85, 86, and 84 down to the safe zone, and the rest of the floors are not evacuated. So if these 3 floors are evacuated, then of course the next floor is to go 1 more floor above, 1 more floor below. Then of course they will evacuate to the safe zone.
Oh, so means if there's fires on 85 floors, so they evacuate the 3 floors.
2 plus 1 minus 1.
Yes, plus 1 minus 1.
Yeah.
And then
So
after that
Another
in
floor.
case they escalate, the plus
In
2, the
case
second
if
plus
it
2
spreads,
minus 2.
It
Yeah.
will go up again, another plus 2, minus 2. So of course they will evacuate down to the safe zone. We have 5 floors, which is at level 40, 41, and 75, 76. So it depends on where you are in the tower. So of course our tower is designed with 3 zones, low, mid, and high zone. So the high zone, they will evacuate to level 75, 76, and then you can take express lift all the way down. Of course you can use the staircase at the same time. But it would take a long time if you were to evacuate from the top high level all the way down. It takes some time.
From this level, 1 hour for you to come
At
down.
least more than 1 hour.
Actually, there's I noticed that in the tour previously there was a signage on the door saying that do not use the stairs.
Yes. So we are the first one.
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
had to go through this process with Bomber and educate Bomber, and they had to understand the concept. And of course, it has been done even in other small buildings, shorter buildings in America, by evacuating using lifts rather than just staircase.
Yes.
So
it's
we
a special lift like this.
a special lift.
And it won't be any smoke or fire. You'll be fully protected.
Correct. Yes. So of course we had to go through this process with Bomber. a series of making them understand, and we did all the fire tests, we did all the inspection, and of course they are more than happy to look at
the
the
lift
process.
lobby is fully pressurized,
Yes.
so that you don't have any perceive of smoke getting into the
Yeah.
lift lobby. Of course, the staircase is also pressurized.
I think
Yeah.
with such a high tower definitely lift help a lot. If by going down the stair, I not say going up, going down also would take
Going
Yeah,
down will
much
take some
harder.
time. Yeah.
It's much harder.
Do you see any other major innovations for the building that can be beneficial to other?
Two main ones, especially when it comes to evacuation. How do you? I mean, we had the first one. Well, in fact, I was told that even KLCC had it, but it wasn't really fully implemented. That's why they had the sky bridge, at level 42.
You go to next tower.
Yeah.
Kan.
So you can actually evacuate using the sky bridge down, But because we don't have a twin tower, ours is a single-story tower. So how do you evacuate the people, at one go?
How about the facade itself? Is there any invention compared to the normal facade?
Yeah,
Because it's
we had
such a high
to.
tower, it's fully glazed, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Of course, we had to go through. This is a triple or double glazing glass for wind, for even for sound. So
Heat, reduce the heat, reduce it, but more light. So this part of the design process,
yes, correct, yeah.
where you go through the testing and so we call it designing the facade itself.
Yeah, yeah.
I suppose programmatically this building managed to capture it's an innovation in itself because it captures the need for a tourist product within the building. If you can see the other super tall buildings in Kuala Lumpur, the Twin Towers as well as the 106, they did not cater for, ironically, after so much planning, they did not cater for this component of people actually
Go
want
up.
to go to the top and do want to experience buildings in a different way.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
Tell us more about the innovations in programming for this building. How did this building manage that aspect?
I think one thing about 198 is you allow the public to go up to certain
Yes.
floor.
Yes.
Well, of course, when you have a tall building like this, you want to introduce some thrill adventures, so to speak, And so in this building, there are a few thrill adventures, especially at level 40, where you can. I mean, this is quite basic to some building. You can stand over a glass looking down into the atrium, 40 stories above. So this is one. Second, of course, if you're at the observation deck level, level 115, 116, 116M, and especially at 116M, you have these ears looking out. If you look at the building, there's this little ears that's sticking out. Again, there's glass there, so you'll be standing at least about 500 meters above ground. So that's another thrill adventures. One of them, which I find it also very interesting, which the client has introduced, they call it the edge walk. You can actually literally go outside of the building, on the south side of the building, on a glass which is only about 1.2 meters wide, and it's frittered, frittered. So it's just imagine it's not solid, it's frittered, and it's away from the wall, from the glass of the building, about 600, and the railing is on the inside, not the outside. So of course you'll be guided with all this.
Harness, you have to have harness.
All the gears and so on, but you'll be walking 30 meters. So this is one thing that
Is it open to public or no?
it will be open to public later on.
Later on, the end of the year, our target is January.
Yeah. And of course the other one would be the spire climb. You can go up to the spire at level 3.2, which is about 556 meters, and you have this 360 degrees view of Kuala Lumpur. So these are some of the trail adventures that is introduced in the building. 118.
Twin Tower, we don't have this.
Twin Tower, I
You
think
do
you
have,
can.
but
The bridge.
now you can access the top, but it was done much later.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just to illustrate what the thought process, we actually at the very beginning had envisioned the building to have accessibility to the public from day one. We say
This is
let the
part,
public
yeah.
come up to the tower.
Yes, yes.
So in what form? Well, we visited a few tall buildings, and the common theme is observation deck. Everywhere you go is observation deck.
Yes.
Yeah, the Burj Khalifa.
Maybe you can
Shard.
add on the lift on the edge.
The lift on the edge. Yeah,
I missed it out.
Yeah,
Ask
okay.
Tengku to explain that.
So once you set that vision, that means everybody on the team have to start thinking, how do you bring people to the top? Where do you put the lift? And again, and it's quite interesting because the spire typically is in the center of a rooftop, right?
Yes.
But we push the spire
To
at the
side,
edge.
At the edge. Yeah.
So when it is to push the edge, then becomes the narrative becomes the hand of Tunku Abdul Rahman, the Merdeka head. But from the engineering perspective, architectural perspective, what happened is that because the spire is at the very top, and the way the building is shaped like a diamond, right?
Yeah.
So it's quite easy to push the lift to the edge from the core for those lifts that going up from the ground to the top. So we have actually isolated that lift away from the core. Office use is all in the core, a hotel all in the core, but to go up to the top, we push the lift to the edge. So once you push the lift to the edge, it gives us an opportunity to change that panel, the last panel, to glass.
Which is they can.
Though you can see KL
You can see KL while traveling up.
while traveling up.
It's like a bubble lift.
Yeah, it's like bubble lift. It's not bubble lift as it is, but it is like bubble lift. So typically, if you go to other super tall buildings in the world, the normal way is you wait 1 minute, and then you wait, they play music and all these things, and then by the time it opens, there you are at whatever level. In our case, because we push the lift to the edge, within 5 or 6 seconds, by the time you over the top of the podium, the whole of KL is in front of you while you're on the lift. So I think it's an experience which will not be, you will not have in any other building, any other place. So I think that's why I come to KL and experience that
I think it's very
location.
good to engage the public to such a high for opportunity. Engage the public, give opportunity to the public. Go up to
Such a
such a high
unique
tower.
way.
Yeah, but again, in trying to do that, you also have these steel beams. As you go up, you get into this effect of, if you don't plan it well, you see more beams as you go up.
Oh, you mean like the cutting?
The spandrel
Yeah,
beam.
the spandrel beam.
Spandrel beam.
So in this case, we don't have.
So you still have, but we minimize it by making the glass as high as possible. So again, there's another challenge to the engineers and architects, how to make the glass, high enough so that you reduce the spandrel beam, so that you don't have this effect of dizziness. Yeah. So it's not as easy as let's do it, because you have to think of how you clean. So you have a mechanical system also how to clean the glass as well.
That's an interesting part. We hope.
Yeah.
We will wait for the opportunity to have a go there.
Yeah.
What's also the innovations must come in the way buildings are maintained. Is there
Also-
anything you want to highlight about how the building will be maintained?
At the moment, we use the building management units, the typical gondola system. I think that's almost like typical.
Yeah.
But I think the whole idea is to plan it well. But in our case, because we have the hotel and the office, so we have a separate unit for the hotel and separate unit for the office as well. So we have two different systems. Yeah.
So how do you all see because such a high tower in relation to the urban context is very important, and the surrounding neighborhood, we don't want it to be like suddenly there's one tower sticking out. So how do you all see this 118 in relation to the surrounding neighborhood in initial planning?
I think maybe I can start, maybe Mari can chip in. The way we see that, we don't want this tower to be like on an island. I mean, that's whole philosophy behind it. So in order to make it work, that's why we have to look at the infrastructure requirements, and that we're able to access the main highway from the tower, not at the doorstep but away. I think we can access the federal highway about almost 1 kilometer away. There's a tunnel now that takes traffic from federal highway direct to the basement. So widen the highways or the road system around the tower, change the routing and so on. And beyond that is to make sure that all this is now integrated back and be part of the whole ecosystem of the community. So I think from the early days we do a lot of engagement with the communities around us, the stakeholders. We talk to them because we right from the beginning we told them the roads will be pre-planned, will be changed, so will be widened. And I think what is really important is that as we move forward, we can see how this tower is actually uplifting or changing the character of this part of KL, because this used to be old part of KL. When KLCC came, the city centre literally moved to KLCC, and this is like the forgotten part of KL.
And this with the Merdeka stadium, which is already abandoned.
Abandoned for that time, yes. And so by integrating that stadium with the tower through the planning and architectural process, so we are literally bringing back the life to this place. And you can see it happening now. A lot of developments would take place around here in the next 5 years easily, and those buildings are now being reoriented to look at this tower. Whatever design we have done, now they will say, let's tune it to look at this tower. All the facade of the building now is looking at this tower for those buildings around here. So I think there's immediate impact. And Chinatown is now a very busy Chinatown. It's very busy day and night. So I think that spillover is really happening. And we don't have to wait until
the impact of this tower to the neighborhood.
It's a neighborhood. It's uplifting process.
Immediate impact,
Yeah, it's really, we can see it really happening. So many kopitiams there now. You can go there at 10 p.m., 11 p.m. It's still busy.
Yeah, in fact, everyone is like snipping to the edge, to the threshold of KL Petaling Street to take the beautiful of the one tower.
So next step is to allow them to be in this building, go up the top. Yeah.
I think Farid, you want to add something on that?
If you, I mean, it has drastically changed the landscape of this area. You know, like what Tengku was saying, Chinatown or Petaling Street or this area used to be quite quiet. And the only thing, of course, Stadium Merdeka, Chinwu, and Stadium Negara, it's still a landmark. And of course, you have the other public schools around us, the Victoria Institute and all that. But if you look at this tower now, it has become a landmark. Previously, for 40 years, KLCC was the landmark, and then when TR rights came, it became a landmark. But if you look at Merdeka 118 Tower, it can be seen from every part of Kuala Lumpur. From the edge of Kuala Lumpur, you can see it. From a distance, you can see it. Especially with driving from the south, coming into the city. I remember driving along the Sungai Besi toll, going towards the Sungai Besi toll. Suddenly, I see this tower right in the middle of where the toll is. You can see the tower. So it has become a beautiful landmark. And sometimes, when I add this also, if you want to know where north is, just look at the spire. Because the spire is literally pointing north.
Direction,
so you can, if you
spire is north.
Correct. So if you're anywhere around Kuala Lumpur and you're trying to, you feel disoriented, say where is north, where is south, where is east and west, and say, just look at the KLCC, just look up, and you see the spire actually facing north. Just off about a few degrees. So this building has become a landmark, and everybody has adapted to it, and I feel proud to have our building here, this building here, as part and parcel of Malaysian entity, and of course heritage from now on.
I think what gives a lot of kind of satisfaction is when you see the skyline change because of this tower, and then suddenly 10 years ago, 5 years ago even, you don't even see this tower in the skyline map anyway. Now you see this tower. So that is really like acceptance in a way, or recognition, acceptance, whatever you call it. But it is already like making it smart in KL. So the next kind of phase of skyline will have these 4 towers. The KL Tower, Petronas, TRX, and 118. So it is like changing the whole scenery of KL.
Yes, it is.
Which to me is really
giving a chance to people draw away from KLCC to here already.
The different focal points for different
Focal
places.
points,
Yes,
focal
yes.
points, yeah.
I mean, one of the things which I want to share was I had a tourist friend from Paris visiting me over Christmas, and we went to the Sri Maharaman Temple
Mm.
in Petaling Street. And the photo that she loved the most was she took a photo of the temple and the backdrop was Taman. So that was she said, oh, this is the only place in the world I can do this. You know, there's such a contrast of the old and the new tradition and the future in one photograph. So I think I think this tower does capture the imagination of the population, tourists or even the locals. And that's a positive thing of the project.
Yeah.
Just a few more questions about the economic spin-off from this building. Do you think there was, besides the tourism, what do you see as the economic spin-off from the project?
I think to us is creating another integrated development which draws investors and so on to this place, to this part of KL. I think that is immediate benefit, not just to us but the whole area actually. So I think for us, of course, make sure that we have the occupancy levels. I think by turning this into an integrated development where you have the retail mall, you have the residential, so it makes the whole thing vibrant. Because if you have started with just one tower, then you are just doing a 9 to 5 kind of group, kind of office building. So after in the evening it's quiet, right? So having a hotel there, the retail mall, I think we would be able to see the economic activities really happening. And the fact that we have also the MRT, LRT all together, this also opens up easy accessibility. So I think you need to have all these things happening at one go or at the same time, then you can see the spillover effect. If not, you just cannot do one building alone helping that it works.
Yes.
Because without MRT, it's very difficult to come.
Integrated.
It's integrated, yeah. Then because it's no one single thing that can say it is the factor that make works. You have to have accessibility. You have to have nearness to attraction. Our case, it is historical, and also Chinatown itself is being part of the 60s, 70s era development.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think you add all this in together, that makes the whole thing work. Yeah.
It's a tower that study in relation to the urbans and then integrate it all together.
It's not just within this plot.
Yeah.
It has got to be seen 1 kilometer away, kind of thing.
Yes.
And then you see how we try to ensure that is what we call it, the benefits not just for us, but the entire country and the country, of course.
Definitely.
So coming to the last part of the interview, this is more about the impact to the construction industry as well as architecture and maybe engineering practices. So on Tengku's side, how do you perceive Malaysian architecture practices in terms of their ability to deliver world-class outcomes, such as 118? Or what do you think needs to be done locally for our architecture practices and consultancy practices to thrive globally, to compete globally? So what are your thoughts on that?
I think having this thing in the belt with very active participation from the local architects, it means a lot. Because the way that we have structured, it's not just international and do everything, it's total collaboration. And it works very well from our perspective, because we have seen it happening in the last years that we've been on this project. I think having that collaboration means our architects and our engineers are now be able to handle bigger jobs in other places of the world, because the whole cycle is complete. It's from the start to the end. So it's not something that we should be proud of it, certainly, to be able to go out there and say we have done this, because it has gone to completion with CCC and so on. So I think it's something that we can proudly say. And on top of that, the things that we have incorporated in this design will also be benchmarked and used as a basis to say it has been done here, for example. I mean, underfloor trunking is one example where it hardly been done before. And we show that it can work here. And I think that will again set the pace of future design. So in the future, people can refer this as a reference benchmark. They say, oh, it's been done in 118, so why not do it in another place? So in a way, that kind of design introductions, I think that we have provided here, would be able to be used somewhere else. The simple thing like floor to ceiling is 3 meter standard. It gives a difference. So I'm sure more building in the future will be 3 meter standard, floor to ceiling. Because it makes a huge difference when you go to a building which is less than that. You feel nice working or going to a building where you have 3 meters. And I think this can be used as a benchmark. I mean, to me, useful that we use this as a basis to say, buildings of the future here, or wherever the architect go out,
As a reference.
as a reference,
Yes.
because we have seen it work.
Yes.
And you want to add, build it, and add the raised floor. Yeah, fine. So I think we have gone quite a long way, and I think the board is behind all these things to support all these innovations. And I think that is sometimes difficult to get in the construction or in the development industry. Sometimes we tend to pull back certain things to say it's too costly or not done before. I think we push.
Tell us more about the green building ratings.
That is interesting, the green rating, because this project started way well before ESG was the fashion. Now everywhere you go is ESG. When we first started, at the very beginning, we say we want platinum. We want platinum rating. Which one platinum rating? We started with LEED, because we were involved in a lot of international consultants. So LEED was chosen initially, and even though we have ready gold, our goal was platinum, not gold, gold. Although our DO is gold, right? The standard DBKL is gold standard. You must get a minimum gold. We say it has got to be platinum. Then we say, why not a local one? So we got GBI in, and then Green RE. So we have got 3. And through the design process, we went through, and we really pulled the team together to say we must get platinum. And we got all the platinum. So now we are going through a revalidation process. Once completed, you have got to revalidate. And LEED, we have now revalidated, confirmed platinum. The other 2, I will not say, but normally once platinum, good chance you can get the 2. But I think what is important to me is that when you start the project, you have already made that as your goal, benchmark, your vision that you want to be there. So, and when ESG comes along, we just okay already, like you're already there. We just fit in. It's not because of ESG that we got the platinum.
But it's also good that PNB is taking this lead to lead the rest of the industry to achieving this green ratings, right?
Yeah. So we go for all the 3. GBI, Ingrid. It's not easy for the team to, not easy in the sense that from various mechanical, electrical things, everybody has got to bear in mind that it must be green.
It's a planning from the start.
It's planning from the start. Yeah. Not halfway through to say we want a green.
Yes.
Then it's difficult by then. Yeah.
So for Farid, what are the lessons of the collaboration with FK that has led to internalization or improvements within your own practice?
Wow, that's quite wide.
So basically, do you see yourselves as an international firm that can compete toe to toe with all the rest of the the ones that are looking for jobs here? Basically?
I think this project gave us an opportunity because we have learned a lot, and of course when we started this project, the client employed altogether 40 consultants, international and local, various fields, 40.
Yeah.
And of course everybody had their own task to comply and to do, and we go through the process of learning. We learn a lot from FKA, vice versa, they learn a lot from us, and especially when it comes to structural, we've learned a lot. So to do a building, to design it, of course we're not engineers, but to design a building of this nature, we know that it takes the structure element, which is critical. And of course the other important aspect is vertical transportation. You cannot just put, okay, I want to have so many lifts in there, but the client decides, okay, I want the building to have an efficiency of, let's say, 75%. You can't go anything higher than 75-76% because of the size. Our footprint is 24,000 square feet. So how do you accommodate that? That's why it goes back to the issue of our OEO. When we introduced these, what do you call it? The fire rating and so on. So that's how we made that's how we got the efficiency for the floor plate. So all this process allows us to learn. By getting involved in this project, we can now probably compete with any other international architect firm out there.
The same goes for the engineers that are involved, the Malaysian side.
Yes. So you have Arup as being the engineers local, and also of course international engineer. They are also international, and then the other two engineers that I mentioned just now. So all of them, and of course we learn from them, and vice versa.
So, are you optimistic about the prospects of Malaysian architecture firms to be world class and able to compete on the same footing?
I think we are. I think this actually architecture starts off with design, and as Malaysian, and I can speak probably for the rest of our architect friends of ours. It starts off with design. And I think if your design is international, acceptable, and of course, you can compete anywhere in the world. So the rest is coming out to make sure that the building can stand. Of course, the engineers, the MEP falls into place. But it always starts with the design, and I think any one of our friends out there in Malaysia can compete, doing internationally with the design. So, like I said, it always starts with design.
Okay.
Yeah.
Final question?
Okay. Just final question.
Your final question.
See, Malaysia has a potential to build another high tower again, because responding to our PM that our country not require any additional high-rise skyscraper.
Maybe I answered differently in saying that it's all supply and demand. And I think we built this because most of the units are tenanted by us. These floors. So I think whether or not there'll be another tower, I think depends whether you have another developer who is willing to take the challenge to do another tower. But I think it's all based on feasibility.
Yes.
If it is feasible, yes, probably you can take a chance, or not a chance take a bold move to build another tower. But I think for us, we are happy that this building is fully completed and then able to have a lot of spillover effects to the urban, to surrounding, and then to the country.
To the country, yes.
So because you need to build tall if you want to have this effect. If you do another 50-story, probably not as much. So I think that's the difference between building 50 or building 100.
Another one will be 200.
Another one will be 200. Maybe 200 stories.
Next generation will build.
Maybe.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.